Honestly, yeah, that's exactly me. Just go in there and like say something.
Hey, David. Thanks for meeting me for dinner.
Hey, Manu, how are you?
So I heard you were at the AT&T archives the other day.
I was.
How was that?
It was excellent, actually. I was expecting a totally different type of facility, but instead it was a nondescript warehouse in the middle of New Jersey, and I was met by George Kupczak. George was an amazing guy. He took us around this AT&T archive facility, and it was truly, truly a joy for me as a patent attorney. The first phone we saw, which was the first commercial phone, was a wooden box phone, and a person would have to talk into look like a microphone type thing, as well as listen through that same thing. So the only way that you'd get someone's attention that the phone was ringing was by knocking on the box. That was pretty cool. George showed us the phone that Alexander Graham Bell called his assistant, Mr. Watson, and had the first telephone conversation. He also showed us how phones evolved from rotary phones to the first desk set phone, one of the first pay phones. He showed us the first video phone that was at the 1964 World's Fair in Shea Stadium in New York. That's like the predecessor to Skype. That's amazing. After showing us all the different phones, George took me to their vault, and he opens a steel door, and he puts on these gloves so his skin won't touch any of the important records that were there, and he takes out this notebook, and the notebook belonged to this Dr. Watson that Alexander Graham Bell called on that first phone call. And he shows us the first patent that was issued on March 7th, 1876. And that patent corresponded to the phone that he had just showed me outside of the vault. AT&T also holds the patent to the first transistor. So he showed us the original specs for that transistor. And you actually see the detailed equations with the voltage and the figures. And this is stuff that likely was submitted to the patent office to get the patent on the transistor. That was really cool.
Wow.
In addition to the actual phone, AT&T also created a lot of patents surrounding switchboards. So he took me into the second part of the warehouse, and in the back there are 4 or 5 old switchboards. You can actually see the patent number on some of them, like emplated in gold. So that was pretty cool.
So you mentioned some of the patent technologies that AT&T had earlier. Are there any ones that kind of stick out in your mind?
Truly amazing that I didn't know about. They created something called a Vitaphone. It was a combination of a record player and a film reel. And so it was the first time that sound and pictures came together.
Wow.
It's interesting to see how with the New America Invents Act, AT&T doesn't have to worry about whether something was conceived or reducing it to practice. Now it's all about the first company to file, the first company to disclose. And I'm sure AT&T is making changes internally as to how they operate now. AT&T is really a model example of how one company can take innovation and constantly evolve it into some of the most amazing technologies we have today. It's truly remarkable.
I'm glad I got to catch up with you, Dave.
Take care.
All right, you too.